This story is based on the new clues revealed in One Piece. Chapter 1160, a chance to revisit the history and legends we thought we knew. On the stage of God Valley, the minority tribe dragged before the celestial dragons became a living symbol of despair. Among them stood a young boy and his mother. And that boy would one day shake the seas. Marshall D. Teach. To the celestial dragons, they were not human at all. Merely objects of ridicule. As weapons and insults rained down, the young Teach tried to shield his mother. But in the end, it was his mother who embraced her son and endured the violence. This scene shows the kind of survival, instinct and obsession that would shape Teach's future. Soon after, the so-called Hunt of the Gods began, a cruel entertainment for the celestial dragons. Countless figures appeared in flashes, including the young versions of Kuma and Ivankov. When Kuma fell into danger at the hands of the celestial dragons, Dragon could no longer suppress his fury and finally took action. He struck back directly at a celestial dragon to protect Kuma, showing for the first time the qualities that would later define him as the leader of the Revolutionary Army. This was not simply rebellion against authority, but a choice to throw himself into danger for the sake of the powerless. The scene then shifts to the Rock's pirates. Just before the events of Chapter 1096, Rox and his crew arrived at God Valley, heralding the beginning of chaos. Rox urged his comrades to unite, but Shiki, Big Mom, Whitebeard, and Kaido each revealed their own clashing desires. Whitebeard spoke of friendship, Big Mom of greed, Shiki of love, and Kaido of bargaining. These words were not mere jokes, but foreshadowing of the paths they would eventually walk. Each perspective reflected the values that would shape what kind of pirates they would become. Amid the chaos, Dragon moved quietly. He succeeded in rescuing twin infants, showing that he was not merely a warrior of anger, but a thinker determined to safeguard the future. Even before the word revolution was ever spoken, he was already making choices on behalf of the generations to come. This was not just a rescue scene but could be read as the origin of why Dragon became the man who would oppose the world government. Soon after, the Roger pirates arrived, and the full force of the Holy Knights made their appearance. Alongside the already known members, new ones appeared: a monstrous figure with wings and horns, and a female warrior with black and white hair, sharp fangs, and sunglasses. Their presence suggested more than just knights. They hinted at traces of artificial experiments or mysterious origins. Considering the world government's history of researching human gigantification, the grotesque forms of the Holy Knights may not be a coincidence at all. Meanwhile, the Marines were overwhelmed on all sides by waves of pirates. But the balance shifted when Garp descended from the skies with his forces. With his overwhelming fist of love, he crushed countless pirates and turned the tide, allowing the Navy to begin their advance into the heart of the valley. In this moment, God Valley became more than just a battlefield. It became the stage where the world's great powers converged, creating a turning point in history. The greatest significance of this chapter lies in the implication that Teach is not just another pirate, but carries the bloodline linked to Kumahe as of the buccaneer race. The fact that the real-life pirate Edward Teach, the inspiration for Blackbeard, was associated with the word buccaneer, and that Oda deliberately chose this very word to name a special minority tribe, is no coincidence. Oda has always hidden foreshadowing in names and words, and this connection proves once again his meticulous storytelling. Another striking detail is the physical trait shared by both Teach and Kuma: gaps in their teeth. Kuma appeared with missing teeth after suffering abuse, while Teach's teeth have notoriously shifted inconsistently throughout the series. What was once dismissed as a mere art inconsistency may, in fact, be a hidden trait of the Buccaneers. Even Oda's depiction of Davy Jones showed missing teeth, suggesting this was a long-buried piece of foreshadowing. Moreover, Teach chose the dark fruit, unlike other Logia fruits, cursed with the penalty of drawing in every blow and amplifying pain, instead of nullifying it. Logically, no normal human could survive such a burden. Yet Teach endured and rose to the rank of emperor. The only explanation lies in his heritage, the buccaneer resilience and vitality. In the end, Teach's durability and overwhelming strength are rooted in his bloodline. This point may also become a crucial clue. in unraveling the greater mystery of his ability to wield multiple devil fruits. So then, one question remains: is Teach's ability to eat multiple devil fruits also a racial trait of the Buccaneers? This part requires careful analysis. From Kuma's past, we caught a glimpse of the Buccaneers' origins. They were not simply large in size. It was mentioned that they had inherited the blood of the giants. The problem is, this might not have been the result of a natural lineage. As Trafalgar Law said, the world government had been pursuing human gigantification experiments for centuries. If that is the case, the Buccaneers might very well be the product of those experiments, a race artificially created by the world government. If this hypothesis is correct, then the reason the Buccaneers became targets of extermination by the world government was not simply because they rebelled. It was because the weapons the government created turned against their makers and began to follow the symbol of liberation, the sun god Nika. From the government's perspective, this was an unforgivable crime. Because of this, the Buccaneers were driven to the brink of extinction, and out of this persecution were born Kuma's tragedy and Teach's distorted survival. What is fascinating, however, is that Whitebeard, who shared roots with Teach, may also have been a Buccaneer. Whitebeard's overwhelming physique was often compared to Kuma's, and even Alvida once described Kuma as a giant like Whitebeard. If Whitebeard, too, was a Buccaneer, then his physical traits were no mere coincidence. But during the Marineford War, when Teach absorbed Whitebeard's power, Marco was horrified and cried out, "Your body is abnormal." Marco was not only the 1st Division commander of the Whitebeard pirates, but also their doctor, who had been with Whitebeard for decades. If the ability to hold multiple devil fruits had been a racial trait of the Buccaneers, Marco would not have been surprised. He would have expected it. Instead, he pointed out precisely that Teach's body was uniquely deformed. In other words, his ability to consume multiple fruits stems not from his race, but from his own peculiar physiology. In conclusion, the traits of the Buccaneers are their powerful stamina, durability, and immense size, but these have nothing to do with the ability to wield multiple devil fruits. Teach's abnormal body remains an unsolved mystery, one that will likely become one of the most important revelations when his past is finally unveiled. What is also intriguing is that both Kuma and Teach are tied to the keyword liberation. Kuma directly shouted for freedom alongside the Revolutionary Army, while Teach, though walking the path of piracy and chaos, ultimately became a force that destroys the order of the world government. They may walk opposite paths, but they share the same fate: to be enemies of the established order. This shows that the Buccaneer bloodline is not merely a source of strength, but a lineage destined to spark conflict in the world. The last point to address is the crime of the Buccaneers. Perhaps it was simply because they were artificially created beings. Or perhaps it was because they clung to the belief in the sun god Nika. Maybe it was both. The fact that the very weapons the government created came to follow the most dangerous ideology of all, that is the truth. The world government sought to erase forever. Thus, Teach is not merely an ambitious pirate, but a man carrying the hidden history the world government tried to bury. His dark fruit is not just a weapon. It may be the very device that amplifies that historical truth. The story of One Piece is not simply an adventure tale, it is about the history of creation and betrayal, liberation and oppression, hidden by the world government, and the tragedies and choices of those born from it. In the end, the God Valley incident was not just a battle. It was a grand turning point where Rox, Roger, the Marines, the Holy Knights, and even the seeds of the Revolutionary Army all became intertwined. And within it emerged the heaviest foreshadowing of all. Who is Teach, and where did he come from? This chapter may very well have been Oda's first answer to that question.